They told us compost was the secret to healthy soil. But what if I told you? Nature never made a compost pile. We've been taught that good gardeners make good compost. But walk into a forest. There's no bin, no turning, no piles heating up. Yet the soil is alive, dark, and rich. Maybe we've been working too hard trying to copy what nature already does better. In this video, we'll uncover the quiet system nature uses to recycle life effortlessly, and how you can bring that wisdom back to your own garden. A forest without a compost bin. In the forest, nobody turns the soil. Nobody flips piles. Yet year after year, the ground grows richer. Imagine standing in a quiet woodland after a gentle rain. The air smells sweet, like life starting over. Beneath your feet, a soft layer of leaves slowly melts into the earth. No gardener comes to tidy up. No one mixes greens and browns or checks temperature with a thermometer. Yet somehow, this system never fails. The trees keep growing. The soil stays alive. That's because the forest doesn't rush the process. It trusts it. Every fallen leaf, every broken twig, every bit of decay is part of a conversation between the living and the dead. What falls today becomes food tomorrow. Tiny insects, fungi, and microbes, unseen gardeners, are constantly at work, turning yesterday's life into tomorrow's abundance. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it, the quiet rhythm of nature healing itself. No bins, no formulas, just patience and balance. Now, think about your own garden. How many times have we rushed nature's process, piling up scraps, waiting for perfect compost, checking if it's ready, as if the soil couldn't possibly handle it without our help? Maybe we've been so focused on managing decay that we've forgotten how to trust it. In the forest, there's no waste. Every fallen leaf has a purpose. Every bit of life returns to the circle. And that's the secret. Not a pile, not a product, but a partnership. Nature doesn't need control. It needs cooperation. This isn't about rejecting compost. It's about seeing it differently, less as a project and more as a relationship. A living system that knows what to do when we step back a little. And maybe that's what our gardens and our lives are quietly asking for. Less control, more trust. The same patience that makes a forest thrive could make your backyard bloom richer, softer, and fuller of life than ever before. In the next chapter, we'll look deeper at what actually happens beneath that forest floor and how to recreate that effortless natural system right where you are, using nothing more than what you already have. Martha's lazy garden. Martha Jenkins, 78, stopped turning her compost pile 2 years ago. Her back couldn't take it anymore. But what she discovered changed her garden forever. Martha has been gardening since the 1960s. Her yard in rural Pennsylvania is filled with stories: a lilac bush planted on her wedding day, a wooden bench her late husband built, and rows of vegetables that have fed her family for decades. She used to swear by her compost pile. Every week, she'd toss in kitchen scraps and yard trimmings, then haul her pitchfork and turn it like clockwork. But age has a way of teaching us new lessons. One summer afternoon, after pulling her back while lifting a bucket of compost, Martha decided she'd had enough. If the forest can do it on its own, she thought, so can my garden. So she stopped. No more turning. No more bins. Instead, she started laying her leaves, grass clippings, and kitchen scraps right on top of the soil, like a soft blanket. She called it her lazy method. The neighbors thought she'd given up. But within months, the soil told a different story. Earthworms moved in. The ground grew darker, softer, and easier to work. Her tomatoes were fuller. Her beans climbed higher. And the funny thing? She felt closer to her garden than ever before. Not because she was working harder, but because she was finally letting nature take the lead. Martha laughs when people ask how she keeps her garden so healthy now. I just feed it like I'd feed myself, she says. A little at a time, every day. No piles. No fuss. The earth knows what to do. Her story isn't about giving up. It's about growing wiser. Aging may have slowed her body, but it sharpened her understanding of nature's rhythm. She discovered that healthy soil doesn't come from labor. It comes from partnership. And maybe that's something all of us can learn from, not just in gardening, but in life. Sometimes, when we stop fighting the process, we start seeing the beauty in it. So here's a question for you. Do you still turn your compost pile? Or have you found an easier, more natural way to care for your soil? Share your thoughts in the comments. You might inspire someone who's looking for a gentler path to a thriving garden. Because as Martha says, the older I get, the more I realize the garden doesn't need my strength. It just needs my patience. Lesson: nature's real composting system. In nature, decomposition happens right where it falls, through mulch, moisture, microbes, and time. If you walk through the woods, you'll notice something beautiful beneath your feet, a soft, springy carpet of leaves that never seems to run out. That layer, called leaf mold, is nature's finest fertilizer. It's the result of countless leaves slowly breaking down on the surface, not in a pile, but right where they land. No turning, no bins, no work, just the quiet magic of life recycling itself. Here's what actually happens. Every autumn leaf and every fallen petal begins to decompose as soon as it touches the ground. Rain brings moisture. Shade keeps the soil cool. Fungi and microbes move in, forming thin white threads that weave through the decaying matter, a living network that feeds the soil below. Over months, that layer darkens into something rich and crumbly, filled with nutrients perfectly balanced for plant life. This natural process is far more gentle and efficient than most of us realize. Instead of generating heat like traditional compost piles, it stays cool, a slow, steady conversion powered by moisture and time. That means fewer nutrients are lost, and the soil's life, the worms, beetles, and microbes, stays active and healthy. You can bring this same system into your garden with almost no effort. Instead of collecting and piling everything, simply spread your organic matter, leaves, grass clippings, kitchen scraps, no meat or dairy, directly over your garden beds. Let nature's janitors do the rest. Over time, this creates what's known as sheet composting or mulch gardening. It might look a little messy at first, but that's the beauty of it. You're not covering your soil, you're feeding it. Each layer acts like a blanket that holds moisture, protects roots, and invites life back into the ground. The worms pull pieces down. The microbes break them apart. Before long, the hard, dry soil you once struggled with turns soft and alive again. This is how forests thrive without fertilizer. It's how prairies renew themselves after every season. And it's how your own backyard can quietly build fertility year after year, if you give it the same trust. The lesson is simple but profound. You don't need to manage decomposition. You just need to allow it. When you step back and let nature's system take over, your soil begins to remember what it was always meant to be, a living sponge of life and renewal. So next time you're about to haul another load to the compost bin, pause for a moment. Look at the ground beneath a tree or under a hedge. That's nature's compost pile, and it's been perfecting itself for millions of years. Let your garden learn from that rhythm. Feed it gently, layer by layer, and soon, you'll see, the richest compost isn't made in a bin. It's made right where life falls. The lazy gardener's gold. Here's how you can copy nature's system. No heavy lifting, no piles, no waiting. After watching the forest teach its quiet lesson, it's time to bring that wisdom home into your own garden, where your soil can do what it was designed to do, renew itself. You don't need fancy tools or endless turning. You just need to work with nature, not against her. Here's how to do it, step by simple step. Step 1, leave it on the surface. Start by laying your organic waste right where your plants grow. That means shredded leaves, small trimmings, vegetable peels, fruit rinds, anything that once lived and will live again. No need to dig it in. Just spread it like you're tucking your garden in for a long nap. Step 2, add a dry cover. To keep things neat and odor-free, add a thin layer of dry material over it, straw, old mulch, or even flattened cardboard. This layer acts like the forest blanket, keeping moisture in and flies out. It also gives your garden that tidy, cared-for look without all the effort. Step 3, let life do the work. Now, step back and let the real gardeners take over. The worms, the microbes, the fungi. These tiny workers will start breaking everything down and pulling it deep into the soil. You don't have to turn or stir a thing. Just give them time, and they'll pay you back in soil so soft and rich. You'll feel it in your hands. Step 4, keep it moist. The forest floor never dries out completely, and neither should your garden bed. Water it lightly, just enough to keep it damp, not soggy. Think of how the earth smells after a gentle rain. That's the moisture balance you're aiming for. That's it. No wheelbarrows, no aching backs. No waiting months for a pile to cook. You're creating what some call sheet compost, but we like to call it lazy gardener's gold. Over time, you'll notice magic happening, worms multiplying, soil darkening, plants looking stronger and more vibrant, and all without turning a single fork of compost. This method works for everyone, but it's especially freeing for those of us who've learned that less labor doesn't mean less love. Sometimes, wisdom means knowing when to stop fighting nature and start trusting her. So the next time you're tempted to drag out the compost fork, remember Martha, remember the forest, and remember this simple truth. The earth knows how to heal itself if we just give it a little help and a little patience. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite low-effort garden trick that still gives amazing results? Share it below. We're learning from each other, one simple act of wisdom at a time. Because in the end, gardening isn't about how much work we do. It's about how much life we invite back into the soil. Martha realized something powerful. Gardens, like people, don't need constant stirring. They just need care, rest, and time. As the seasons changed, Martha began to notice that her garden's rhythm matched her own. The more she stopped trying to control it, the more it seemed to breathe again. The soil softened, the weeds lessened, and the air felt calmer. She realized something she wished she'd known all along. That life, just like gardening, doesn't always need our constant fixing. Sometimes, it just needs our trust. There's a quiet beauty in letting go. For most of our lives, we're taught to push, to do, to manage, to turn every pile, fix every problem, and make things grow faster. But the earth reminds us that true growth doesn't come from struggle. It comes from rest, rhythm, and renewal. In the forest, nothing hurries. The leaves don't compete. The soil never worries if it's doing enough. Everything just gives what it can, and somehow, it's always enough. Maybe that's what Martha discovered when she put down her pitchfork. That slowing down isn't a sign of weakness, but wisdom. As we grow older, we start to understand the same truth. The hands that once worked tirelessly now move slower, but with greater intention. The heart that once chased results now finds peace in the process. And the garden, that faithful friend, reflects it all back to us. Letting go doesn't mean neglect. It means cooperation. It means trusting the systems already built into creation, the same ones that turn decay into life and endings into beginnings. When we stop stirring the soil, we start stirring something deeper: gratitude, humility, and awe. So maybe the greatest gift gardening gives us isn't just fresh food or beautiful flowers. It's perspective. It reminds us that even in stillness, life continues. That even what falls feeds. And that healing doesn't come from force, it comes from time. Martha often sits on her old wooden bench now, watching the wind scatter the leaves she once tried so hard to clean up. She smiles, knowing those leaves are feeding next spring's blossoms. I guess, she says softly, nature's been trying to teach me patience all along. And maybe, in some quiet way, it's trying to teach all of us. Because whether it's soil, a garden, or our own hearts, sometimes the richest growth comes not from what we do, but from what we allow. So as you walk through your garden, or your years, remember Martha's lesson. You don't always have to turn the pile. Just love it. Leave it. Let it become what it's meant to be. Let nature do the work. So the next time you feel guilty for skipping the compost pile, remember, nature's been doing fine without it for thousands of years. We've spent a lifetime learning how to do things better, how to turn, build, mix, measure. But sometimes, the wisest thing we can do is to stop doing and start observing. The forest never rushes, never stirs, never frets. Yet it thrives. Your garden can, too. If this story has reminded you that less effort doesn't mean less love, then you've rediscovered something precious: the grace of letting nature do what she does best. When you lay down those leaves, when you let the worms take over, when you choose patience over pressure, you're not just gardening. You're joining an ancient rhythm that has sustained life since the beginning. Maybe you felt that tug, that gentle guilt when you skip a garden chore or decide not to turn the compost pile. But here's the truth. Your garden doesn't need perfection. It just needs partnership. Every time you step back and let the soil breathe, you're giving it the space to become what it was meant to be: alive, self-sustaining, and endlessly generous. Think of it this way. Your soil is like your own life's journey. It has seasons of activity and seasons of rest. There's beauty in both. And when we allow the natural process to unfold in our gardens, our homes, or our hearts, everything grows richer with time. So, the next time you're out in your yard, take a deep breath. Feel the softness of the soil. Listen to the rustle of the leaves. That's the sound of the earth saying, "I've got this." If this story inspired you to slow down and let your garden breathe, give it a thumbs up. It lets us know we're growing in the right direction. Share it with a fellow gardener who needs a little reminder that rest is part of growth. And don't forget to subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where we celebrate the wisdom that only time can teach, and where life, like the soil, only grows richer with every season. Because sometimes the best kind of gardening and the best kind of living happens when we finally let nature do the work.